Hi everyone, I want to show another embellishment box. This is a vintage and shabby with a little bit of Victoriana touch to it. This is for my friend Linda on scrapbook.com for our current swap that we're doing right now. This is authentique paper. There is a little pearl flatback roll bling there. This is the pearl flatback mesh trim from Hobby Lobby. This is some actual antique vintage lace, and then I made 3 of these silk flowers. Let me bring this up a little bit closer like that. And then there is a brooch. This can be removed, and that pearl actually moves and dangles right there. So anyway, the brooch itself can be removed if she wants to, and she could use that. And then this was a Hobby Lobby feather wedding accessory in the wedding department, and I actually deconstructed it. I took out the sorry, it's my cat if we see his paw. I took out the bling there and then used that, and then I used the acrylic piece on the inside. So anyway, these are 3 colors of satin. There is a champagne, a pale like shell pink, and then the burgundy in there. So there's 3 of those, and then there is a folded in half doily, and that too is vintage. There is some more of that pearl string. I don't know what this stuff is called. Well, it's the pearl trim. It's found in the wedding department also. So anyway, there are also some little pearls. Let's see if I can get that in there. 2 different sizes that are right underneath her letters for her name. And there is the trim on the side, which is just the flatback trim. So let me try to get that straightened out, and then let me open this up. Well, there's my kitty cat. Sorry about that. And so here we go. So here's the top, the inside of the top. There are some butterflies. These are Recollection with a gold edged vellum, and then 3 flatback pearls that are there. These are on repositionable glue dots, so she can take those off and use them herself, which is always helpful. I'll bring this up close just so you can get a quick peek, and then we're going to go through each one of the bins. So there are 4 buttons along with some laces in there. There are tatted pieces and flatback trim there. There's goodness. I'll save that for a minute. We have homemade flowers, some button tape that I created there, and then there's a couple flowers, some 2 different colors of eyelash trim, some handmade embellishments in here, some stick pins, and dyed seam binding there, and 2 more of the flowers that are like on the front of the box there. So anyway, if we take this all out, these are 4 buttons that are made with the Doris kit from Joann's. These are the 3/4 inch buttons, and it's just simple. It gives you like the little pattern to cut out the circle size, or the size of the circle of fabric, and then there's like a little thumb punch thingy that you just make them with. Some of these have the shanks removed, and then some are flatbacks, and the package comes with both. This is a piece of tatted lace that I made for her. I was trying out a new pattern and just thought I would throw that in. That would fit nicely on a pocket letter vertically, I think. I wouldn't want to cut that apart. But anyway, just thought I would try that. There is about a yard of the stretchy lace. This came from Hobby Lobby, and I love working with it. It's really soft, and it works nicely in projects. And then a doily. I'm not sure if this is actually vintage or not, but I was able to pick that up actually from a friend, and thought I would stick that in there for her. The next box, we have the acrylic flower that came with that feather and that wedding embellishment. So there's a little heart actually on that. I don't know if you can see that. Here's some more of the flatback trim that I used on the edge, and then in this box there are 5 tatted doilies that I made for her. These are in different sizes. So there's a couple that are repeated. Some of the patterns are my own, kind of like once you learn how to do it, you can change the size by adding how many number of double stitches you make. So anyway, I think that's the largest, and then 2 of these are the same size, and then 2 are the smaller ones. And again, if she can use those on pocket letters or other projects. In the last section there, we have flat back gems. This is what I use for making my flowers with. This actually came from Joann's, and it was on a string of some beads. And then that is a hanging bead. So that is there. And then this is what I wanted to show you. These are all vintage buttons. I recently just picked up 2 new jars. One's large and one's a little pint-sized jar of vintage buttons. And I love how some of these are just really, really old. The size of the holes are not equal. Some of them are broken actually, which is, it's just the whole thing is cool. I love the old buttons. So anyway, she's got some of those to play with. In this section, we have 2 colors of the eyelash trim, like I said, and both of those kind of go along with the vintage feel. And that's what we were going for this. In this bin, we have 2 homemade flowers. This is coffee dyed, that is seam binding and lace. Both were coffee dyed and gathered and sewn, and then a flat back pearl added to the center there. And then the other one, same thing with lace, and then actually 2 laces and another center from that same string of Joann's beads. In this one we have a pre-made little clothespin. I like the colors because it all matches. It's the same kind of pink. And that is probably from Recollections, I believe. This is the button tape, or oh, I call it tape, but anyway, it's a seam binding with the buttons that are vintage sewn on. I love the colors, love the textures. Each one of these, even though it was sewn, each one was sewn on, I did glue the backs of them so that if she chose to cut that, the rest of the buttons wouldn't unravel and fall off. So anyway, so she can cut that wherever she wants to, and like I said, each button has a little dot of glue on the back so that it will stay intact. And that is seam binding that is dyed with, or distressed dyed with antique linen. I kept the colors throughout the same. This is Tattered Rose, and I used antique linen on the seam binding too. This is a little roll of vintage lace. This is the same way that I got it. I think it has some old seam binding here holding it together. I didn't do anything with this. This is exactly the way that I took it out of the package when I bought it. We have some antique malls that are local to us, and there's some pretty happy shopping to be done in those places. But I love this lace. It's just really, really quite dainty. This is a shabby flower with one of the other bling pieces. Again, that was a button. I buy the buttons from Hobby Lobby just because they have a great, fantastic button selection in the Sewology department and the notions at Hobby Lobby. You can scruff this up just by rubbing it on your hand, and then that gives the rough edges here. Some of this just needs to be pulled out a little bit just to make it fluffy again. So that is a flower for her. There are 2 more of the satin flowers that I made that are on the front. This one has the petals cut into it, so there's 5 little cuts that makes the ripply edges. And then this one does not have that, so these are just more of a rounded, almost like a poppy or ranunculus kind of a flower. And this is definitely more of the petaled flowers. So 2 of the little blings there too. Actually, there's 2 different ones, if you see that. But again, both come from Hobby Lobby. In this pocket, we have leftover seam binding that I had dyed, and you'll see what I made with that. And then, so I just made up 2 bows for her. This is a really soft lace too, just for the bows. I enjoyed making those and sending them on. So I have 2 dyed seam binding yardages. So there's a yard each. This is the Tattered Rose again, and then the antique linen, both Tim Holtz distress dyes, and little jump rings with a couple little beads added on there. So that is seam binding she can use. I did make 3 stick pins for her. All of my stick pins are made with glass beads, and most of them come from either Joann's or Michael's, some from Hobby Lobby. The stick pins themselves are from Doris, and I buy them in the floral department at Joann's, and they come with the little pearl top on there. And they're either called floral pins or corsage pins, one or the other. Can't remember exactly what they're called. But you can buy them right in the store. At least I just saw them again in mine, because I'm going to need to buy some new ones. Again, some more vintage lace. This is the original color. I didn't do anything to that. That's how it came. And it is beautiful. And under that is some additional, another kind of vintage lace. And that too is a beautiful pattern. I've already used some of this myself on a project, and I love how soft that is. There's some more of that flat back mesh pearl bling that I used on the front, on the hump of the box. And these are some homemade embellishments back here. Using the scallop punch. Oh, let's see. There we go. The first one is just 2 scallops. It has some pink eyelash trim, a little bit of pink cheesecloth there, and then this is a Recollections rose. And although the writing is upside down, the paper actually came from Rustic Cottage. It's a Stamper, or let's see, Stamper's Companion, whatever. I can't remember the name of it now. So both of these papers came from them. And then this is Itty Bitty floral punches from Heartfelt Creations, and with little pearl centers in there. I love using that for this purpose. It's a great little punch. And then there are 3 more little dyed flowers, similar to what I made on that one there. Again, the Tattered Rose seam binding is just dyed, and then it's gathered, stitched, and then drawn up tightly, and then a little extra pearls added on to that. I made one little banner tag, so seam binding, some snippet of lace on there, and then paper and this little pretty little butterfly, and then 2 metal pieces for her to use however she would like. So that is the end of the box. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope she loves it. I had to put everything back now. But anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you subscribe. I would love to have you back again. Thank you. Have a good night.